people going to think of our new buttermilk crispy chicken? Let's find out.
It's probably the best sandwich I've ever had.
It's super crispy, but it's also really juicy.
So would you guys come back? Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, here's our card. The location is on the back. It's McDonald's? What? What?
Oh, get out
No way.
Wait, seriously?
Try some buttermilk crispy chicken. It's right around the corner at McDonald's. Buttermilk.
Brad Atwell back on WCOU Sports with Ask the Coach, Coach Jeff Griffiths of Barron County Trojans. I want to remind you to check out our McDonald's Ask the Coach podcast with game film. It'll be up on live on the air on watchwcou.com, or just go to WCOU Radio and click on the video link, and you can check that podcast out after we get finished with the show today. And again, we want to thank McDonald's of Glasgow for sponsoring the Ask the Coach podcast with game film. Coach, I know last night we had a couple guys that were our key in our offense that does play some defense from time to time. Another guy that's key player in our defense that is probably leading our defensive linemen in tackles that went down there in the game last night. And but even in the midst of those guys going down, it was good to see guys come in. Jake Cross came in there last night on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, Jake played defense. The last 3 years he's come in, took over the spot on that offensive line and has done really well. And I tell you what, Jake Cross impressed me last night with the way he came in and played defensively.
I'm awful proud of Jake. He went to offensive line, and I moved him over there, and he probably wasn't the happiest person at the start of it, but he's taken to it, and he knows the offense, the plays, and know what he's supposed to do, and he's done a great job on our offensive line, and we needed him to play some defense last night, and I thought he came in, really moved his feet defensively, and did a really good job. And flew around, and that's what we've got to have, and that's what we've got to have out of senior guys that have played a lot the past couple of years. And I thought that Jake did exactly what a senior's supposed to do last night. When you're called upon, get in there and get the job done, and he certainly did that. And like I said, we're 6 games into this, and I'm extremely proud of Jake and the way he's handled things this year and gone about his business. And last night he did a really good job when called upon to go in there defensively, and he hadn't played a lot of defensive snaps this year.
Talking a little bit earlier about our offense, in the first half last night we had 17 rushes for 72 yards and 2 for 6 passing 12 yards with a total offense of 84 yards in the first half. At the end of the game, we had 26 touches for only 77 yards. So, that kind of lets you know that kind of what went on that second half. And then passing overall, we were only 3 for 15 with a total of 31 yards, 2 interceptions. So total yards the first half was 84 yards for offense. Total yards the second half was 108. It's just one of those things. And the big play of the second half that really, I thought, looked like it was going to turn us around was when we had them pinned back there in the end zone. They ran the toss sweep and pitched it out. Chase Farley come up. They fumbled the ball. Chase recovered the ball there in the end zone for a defensive score. And I thought, man, this is going to turn us around. And but it just seemed like we never could get that momentum to turn the corner and get the offense back clicking again like it did the first couple times we touched the ball in the first half.
Well, I thought offensively, except for the first quarter there, I just thought we really struggled the entire game in terms of either blocking them up front or throwing and catching, and pass protection. I thought this was probably, and I know we've had some struggles offensively, but I thought this was probably our worst night offensively that we've had in terms of execution and just making plays in general. And we didn't, especially in the second half. The first half we moved the ball some and did what we were supposed to do, especially there in the first quarter. But we just kind of bogged down there and got some inconsistency there in the second half and and didn't play real well on the offensive side. And it was a systems breakdown last night completely. I mean, we didn't play well defensively most of the game. We had breakdowns in our punt. Obviously we gave up an 80-yard punt return, which that was kind of fluky, I guess you would say. But at the same time, we gave it up, and that's in our kicking game. So, when you go on the road and you're on a 3-game losing streak, and you allow those type things to happen, it's hard to get over the hump, and we struggled with that last night.
Something we talked about off the air was, East tried everyone in the world to give it back to us time and time again with turnovers. We were able to stop them there in the second half. Our defense was able to stop them, 2 or 3 occasions, and then of course you go back and we had some good returns on special teams. Blaine Grigsby stepped up again last night and had a great return early. Matthew Bellamy had a couple good returns, and then a couple of times on punts when we would punt the football there in the second half. Not only were we not executing, but we weren't using our head. We were causing. We had 0 penalties the first half. The second half, we had 6 penalties for 55 yards. Face mask call at the end of a long run. I can remember one time there when we had a personal fouls that were offsetting where they threw it on both teams, and it's just one of those things. It just seemed like when you start on that skid, it's hard to get a hold to the rope and pull yourself back and say, hey, we need to stop this.
It is, and the penalty situation, you're going to get some penalties. I think addressed this last week. Every now and then you're going to get a late hit. That's just part of football. The ones that we have to avoid and are ridiculous are the ones where we're getting into making it a personal confrontation with someone else, and I think we may have had one of those last night. But the face mask penalties, those things are going to happen sometimes, unfortunately. A late hit is going to happen sometimes, unfortunately. Now unless it's just something really blatant and stupid that a player is doing, and I really don't think we had any of that type stuff last night. We didn't. You can't make those type of mistakes in that type of game and expect to win. And of course, they certainly, as you said, they certainly gave us opportunities to win. They turned it over 2 or 3 times. They probably had more penalties than we did, and we just didn't take advantage of our opportunities. And they took advantage of the ones that we made mistakes on. And that's kind of where we are right now. We've got to get better, and we'll discuss those things this morning in film and address them, and continue to try to work on it.
Well, Coach, we're going to take a break and hear from our sponsors, and you stay tuned and come back and join myself with Coach Jeff Griffith on WCOU Sports and Ask the Coach.